Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jamal Fuso Yukio Basaki, and you're welcome to Yan and Yoku JEOO, a space where we'll have calm, honest conversations about life, culture, identity, and the journey of becoming. Today, I have an amazing guest with me, the host of Danfo Daily, Alamin Mohammed Lawal. Guys, let's dive into the conversation. Alamin, thank you for being here with us today. So, I want to ask, how did Alamin come up? Because I know you host Danfo Daily and you are into the media space. So before the media space and before Danfo Daily, who was Alamin?
Well, I'm delighted you having me here today. Not much to say honestly. My name is Alamin Mohammed Lawal, and prior to me getting into the industry, I would say I was a normal average Nigerian kid. Grew up in Gerkito, Abuja, roaming around, just respectful, trying to find his way around adult life and interfacing whatever it is that comes toward me. But I would say I've always been passionate about the media industry, even prior to adulthood. Even when I was in secondary school, I headed the press club in my secondary school. I was appointed president at a point in time. And I've always been passionate, always been curious about the media industry, primarily about politics, coverage of politics, and the entire scope of it. The inspiration for me, I would say, primarily came watching Trevor Noah when he signed for the Daily Show. And I think at that point in time, I decided, this is something I want to pursue in life.
That's so good. It's because recently you were just telling me about the Trevor Noah thing.
Yeah.
So you bring it to your story, you shows authenticity. So I want to know, how did Danfo Daily start and how is it going?
Yeah, the idea originally started shortly after COVID, 2021. And it was almost started like a passion project that I wanted to start, and then currently we're trying to bring it to life. So Daily Danfo is about we're trying to position ourselves as the bridge between the ruling class and the working class. We're trying to create a platform where both parties can come together within a forum and have proper, honest conversations. So that is the ruling class will hear directly from the working class, from the lower class. No filter, original, raw, authentic view of what they think the country should be and where they think the country should be facing and where they should be going ahead as well.
So talking about you being a bridge, I want to ask a question on governance. So how can Nigerian leadership promote transparency, accountability, and good governance?
Well, as you know, I would like to bring the scope to all the other democracies in the world as well. I would like to say democracy is always a process. You have to always work on democracy. It's not a stated fact. It's not something that you build and you just situate and that's it. Things be prosperous and whatever. No. You have to always work hand in hand. But relatively in democracy, I would say the latest republic is 99, so roughly 26 years. Obviously, we can do better, our leaders can do better. I'm very optimistic. I think Nigeria can only get better. I think with all the problems we have, all the divisions, some might lose hope, some might think things are getting worse, but we will. But it needs work, it needs the younger generation putting themselves out there, participating in the process of democracy, and eventually we will get there. We will never be a perfect democracy, it will never happen. But what we should ascertain ourselves toward is to becoming a respectful society and to have prowess in whatever it is we have setting in governance.
So when we talk about accountability, what role do you think the citizens, what do we play in holding our leaders accountable for their actions?
Firstly, I would like to say is acquiring knowledge. I think one of and I'm not saying this as a critique, but Nigerians will have to acquire the knowledge that is needed to actually hold our leaders accountable. So for the most part, I would always see, especially people around my age group, criticizing the government. And sometimes I would put in the question to them, what would you have done in this position? What do you think we should have done? Mostly I would hear things that do not account for even a better outcome. So rather education, people should always educate themselves. We should know what it takes to govern, and then eventually put the question to our leaders, this is how things should be done, and this is what we think.
Well, let's talk elections. So how can the electoral process be improved to ensure free, fair, and credible elections?
I think Nigeria's electoral system is one of the best around the world. As much as we have loopholes and when you're talking of an absolute democracy, it's one of the best. Obviously, we can do better. Yeah, we can do better in terms of transparency and accountability, trying to hold the people who run these elections accountable. For example, like INEC. But I would like to let me bring up a stat. Just the last election, we had around 36 million people vote in the presidential election, which is relatively low for a country of over 200 million people. So we need more participation. We need people to participate more. You know, I would always put the question to people, why don't you vote? They would say they don't believe in the system, you don't think their vote counts, that they don't think it matters. But we have to participate in the democracy itself for it to work.
A lot of people have the saying that why would the president elect the INEC chairman? Because the INEC is meant to be an independent body, and the president electing the chairman of the body makes it already, how would I put it, corrupted, if that is the word I should use. So what do you feel about that?
Very much. I think there are other democracies in the world that actually allows its people to vote in people who run these elections. Is it a possible massive loophole? Possibly, but this is something the people will have to come and decide. Do we want the person who will possibly participate in the election deciding who runs the election? So I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to the people. The people will decide eventually. I think there should be a massive electoral change, but I don't think it matters as much as the point I made earlier about we participating. The more people participate, the more accountability people hold, and the more the scope of the election comes onto light whenever we have problems within the electoral process.
So we're talking about education, I don't know if you can remember, and we're talking about the movie industry, the film industry, where we lack that original content of our history. We're talking colonization and everything. So how do you think education can be used as a way to foster the media industry?
Well, very much. As you know, we struggle when it comes to education in Nigeria. We have so many millions of children out of school, and as a result of that, narratives can easily be created and submerged onto people. So by enhancing the media industry itself, it allows people to have a perspective. As the earlier conversation we're having about colonialism, I was just talking to you about someone making the point that I might possibly know more of Queen Elizabeth than Queen Angela, which is the case. I would like to say there is a lack of historical context when it comes to African history and also Nigerian history, to be particular. But we have to invest when it comes to these industries that will enhance our identity. And I would say one of them is the media industry. The more we tell our stories, the more we know ourselves, and the more we can better ourselves with that system.
A very important question here I want to ask. What is your view on zoning? Because a lot of people think the zoning of elections is a gentleman agreement that hasn't worked. Do you think it hasn't worked?
Yes, it hasn't for the most part. And at the end of the day, you can never satisfy human beings. You know, especially we are a diversified country, but we're not equal.
Reading an article recently, and I realized that as of 2020, Nigeria was actually the most populous country in the whole of Africa, or the whole West Africa, I would say. And 70% to 65% of that number falls on the youth. So how do you think the youth can contribute to the community development of the whole country?
I think the median age in Nigeria is currently 25 or 23. It's a massive advantage, but could also be a disadvantage, because with the population boom we're seeing, I think last year we had 9 million birth in this country, but you have to educate them, you have to feed them, you have to give them jobs, you have to train them, and if we do not do that, I think we're creating a big catastrophe for ourselves in the future. So the population can be an advantage and can also be a disadvantage, but it is the responsibility of not just the government, but the community to make sure these children are educated, to make sure to situate them in a position to succeed, so they wouldn't become a liability, rather they would help respectfully to make this country become prosperous.
Most times our education system has pushed people to create more degrees than produce more people. So what or how do you think people can find their purpose, live their purpose, and work in purpose?
I think the government has a big big responsibility and a big hand to play on this. We live in a society that prioritizes these things that you mentioned, having degrees, postgraduate degrees, rather than skill and other things at the same time. So we need a change of psyche. We need a change of mindset, that a society that prioritizes skills and other acquisitions rather than just having a piece of paper that says, oh, I have attained this. So government has to, I recently, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of UK, I think he passed a bill with many other MPs in the legislature that prioritizes vocational aptitude rather than just having degrees. So there's a lot, and not just the government, but even a community as well. As I mentioned earlier, a change of psyche for these things. It's not going to happen overnight, because as you know, there was a generation where having these things was the goal. You know, you had to have a degree to be able to be prosperous in society, which is not necessarily a bad thing, which is a good thing actually. But then we have to start prioritizing skill acquisition rather than just having a piece of paper or a degree. At the end of the day, it is you and I that will build the society that we want. No one else is coming to save us. No one cares about our country as much as we do. And it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. All the other prosperous societies that we aspire to become like, the ones face these current difficulties we're facing. And these difficulties can be overcome, and we will overcome them. It will take hard work, coming together, and with all our diversity, it will take a sense of responsibility, as I mentioned earlier, to decide, do we want this country to prosper, or do we not?
So let's talk about Abuja for a minute. Abuja is a place that loves fine things. Oh my God. So what do you think? There's a culture in Abuja. What culture do you think we have in Abuja?
Well, as you know, it's a center, or would I say the capital of the country, and there's so many identities here. And I grew up there, and I have a sentimental love for Abuja, but it hasn't reached its potential yet. There's still this introverted personality, and everyone looking out for themselves. There's a lack of community in Abuja, and this is something we should work towards building. And then some people might think, oh, I cannot approach this person because I wouldn't know how they would react towards me, or whatever the case may be. We have to drop that. We have to work with each other. We have to collaborate more. I want to see more collaborations. I want to see more people within the capital coming together, building communities, building products, whatever it is. And the culture hasn't come to prowess yet, but I think it will. I think you're starting to see so many communities right now on a smaller scale, but eventually on a big scale. I mean, everyone has a big role to play in that.
You know, at UPJ, we are all about community, and we try so much to make sure that we bring everybody together. Just whether you're in Northern, whether you're a Southern, whether you're a Christian or Muslim, it's about community and unity. So I want to ask, this might be a very tricky question, but where is your favorite spot in Abuja? I say that.
I would say, well, I grew up in Geki too, and I might be slightly biased, but I would say Wuse 2. Because obviously Wuse 2 is where most things happen. I think most of the events, most of my childhood, growing up, I used to attend so many tournaments, and most of them will be situated here. So I have created so many memories here in Wuse 2. So I would gladly say Geki 2, but I would say, if I'm talking in general terms, definitely Wuse 2. Wuse 2 is the place to come, to build community, to have events, to build whatever it is. It gives you the capacity to do so, just because of the economic and also socio-economic power that Wuse 2 has.
So what's one thing you like to do in Abuja?
I don't know if I mentioned, I'm a tea addict, so I consume lots of tea, so-called Arabian tea.
Yeah. So
I always try to jump from one place to another, trying to find the best Arabian tea in the city. And there's a spot. I'm gonna give them a good shout out, Alamin. So I'm there almost every night, and I would like to believe they make the best Arabian tea in the city.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when we look at the geography of Abuja and the road map, do you think Abuja has a very good road network?
Yes, I would believe the best in the country. At least I'd like to believe.
I would like to believe Benin has the best. Benin City for life. So well, I like to believe Benin has the best. Yeah. So why do you think Abuja has the best?
Well, I think Abuja has been given multiple awards, even internationally, for one of the best organized cities, even
on a metropolitan stance at the same time. I would see people coming from Lagos who always come here and just say how good the road network is here and how the zoning itself has been very good and situated. It's not the best, obviously can be better, but I would like to say in the country, I think nothing beats Abuja.
So I want to put you on the spot. Quick fire questions. So what's the most overrated kind of Abuja?
Car?
Yeah.
Mercedes.
Most overrated kind of Mercedes.
Yes.
What's the worst mistake you made while starting out?
I didn't start early enough.
What is one thing that Abuja just taught you?
The power of community. I think people coming together, I think it's a powerful thing.
One business book you recommend?
I wouldn't say it's a business book, but potentially help is How to Talk to Anyone Anytime by Larry King.
How to talk to anyone anytime?
Anytime by Larry King.
So the Abuja soft life, but the Lagos also.
Abuja 2-4. I would never trade
You
for
are
anyone.
an Abuja boy.
Yeah, very much.
He's an
Very much.
Abuja boy.
I would never trade for
So
anyone.
thank you so much, Alamin,
Yeah.
for pulling up to Yannick JU and giving us your story. And this is something we always want to tell people when they come to Yannick JU. Leave one piece of advice for the youth.
Time is what I like. Time is what I like. There's always time. Never look at things within the scope of a year or two. Look at things within the scope of a decade. There's so much one can do in a decade. I think there's especially this culture, especially in Abuja here, I see so many young people, they're trying to get the Mercedes within a year or two, people trying to get them. It's time. Time is what I like. Relax. 1% better each day, each month, each year. The most important thing is you're getting better. Don't ever compare yourself to anyone, ever. Compare yourself to your past and just try and get better as you move on. That's
So
it.
before we end, I would like you to say to our audience, you're watching and listening to Yan and Yoke with JEOO.
You're watching and listening to Yan and Yoke with JEOO.
And I'm your host, Jamal Danfo. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, tag us, stay tuned for more real conversations. Thank you. God bless the youth of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless Nigeria. And I'll see you on the next episode. Keep yanning, keep growing, and keep building.